and welcome to the Arlington High School Student Council Presidential Debate. My name is Tarangana Thapa. I am the current senior class vice president and also the student council representative. Today with us we have two candidates running for student council president, Nat Heitmann, who is the current class of 2018 secretary, and Laura Kirchner, who is the current class of 2018 vice president. And today we're going to be discussing both candidates' visions and ideas for the school and the class over the period of the 2017-2018 academic year. Welcome, and thank you all for being here today. So I want to open off by kind of giving small introductions about yourselves to all of the voters. Why don't we start with you, Nat? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your position right now, your experiences in student government, and your general vision for the next year.
All right, my name is Nat Heitmann. As Tarangana said, I'm the current class of 2018 secretary. As a part of the job of being secretary for the class, I help organize fundraisers, fundraise, and also organize the prom, the junior prom. My vision for the student body, something I've always stressed, is listening to the school and listening to the students, which is why I feel it's very important to hear everything that all the students have to say. And I want to make sure I take into account everything that goes on. In addition to that, I spend lots of time at the school with my various extracurriculars, music and athletics. So for me, the school is something that I want to see improved greatly. Although the building is going to get destroyed in a few years, I'd like to make it beautiful now and make it a place that we all want to live in, both visually and emotionally.
Thanks, Nat. Laura, let's hear a little bit about you and your visions for AHS over the next year.
Thank you for having us, Tarangana. So as Tarangana said, my name is Laura Kirchner. I am the current class of 2018 vice president. So as part of my duties as vice president, I've also been running prom, and we created our first ever Where's Waldo scavenger hunt this year. And I've been doing various other fundraisers as a part of class council. I've also been working with student council, which is the group I will be working with if I'm elected student council president. And with that, I've been organizing fundraisers and activities such as the blood drive and homecoming. And essentially, if I'm elected next year, my goal is to make the high school an enjoyable place for all people. I know people have various experiences with high school, and I want to make sure everybody is represented with the activities we do. And so I think, it's less about making money and more about helping the class have a good time. And I think there's a part that goes into the emotional aspect of students, especially involving different events we've had at the school in recent years that have caused a lot of strain in the community. So while I do have ideas for fundraisers, I also have many ideas to help the class bond and make everybody have a good time at Arlington High School.
Thank you both. You both mentioned a bunch of different things that you've done in the past and things that you would like to do in the future, but let me ask you, if there was one thing that you could change about AHS in the next year as student council president, what would that thing be, and how would you make that change? Let's start with you this time, Laura.
Oh, thank you. So essentially there are a few things I would like to see changed. One idea I had is implementing town hall sort of meetings during X Block, because I've had kids come up to me and say like, hey, you know what we should do as a fundraiser? And I think there's a lot of students who feel like they've got these great ideas, but they don't want to be running for different positions in student council. And so, I think it's important that we get their voices heard. Also, regarding some of the incidents with graffiti and such, I recently joined the racial bias combat committee, and so we're working to reduce tensions in our school, and I think I can take that into my position in order to be able to speak to students and create a dialogue. And essentially I hope that through my efforts I will be able to make Arlington High School a more inclusive place.
Definitely. Nat, what would be the one big thing you would focus on?
Similarly to Laura, I love stressing the importance of students and listening to the students. I had similar ideas for a meeting, but also a hotline almost where students can send messages directly to me if I'm elected student council president. Additionally, I think the graffiti, some horrible acts have been done, and people have been feeling like they've been excluded, and I want to see the entire student body come together. I want to see togetherness, and I don't know, for those of you who were at the spring fling, it was a great activity, many things going on and many people there, and it felt like an enjoyable time where I got to meet people I didn't normally get to meet. So I'd like to implement more events like that. For example, I had ideas for X Block or lunch, having mini concerts where students who love performing music or even just performing acts, comedy, can sign up, and then they can perform that for their peers, and we can come together and see all the talents that we have at our school.
Definitely. Now, something interesting that I noticed is that both of you mentioned the graffiti and the problems that we've been having. You know, we had the big assembly, the assemblies this past year addressing the graffiti and some of the hateful things that have been written on the walls, and overall just the vandalism. And that's been a problem at AHS. And you touched on it, but how do you propose we address this problem effectively and make students work towards making sure that that doesn't continue to happen and that hatred isn't there and the vandalism stops? Nat, what do you think?
Part of my issue with vandalism is that we need to promote a sort of respect for the building, because a large amount of the vandalism I see in the bathrooms or throughout the entire building are just sort of mindless acts of destruction, which is why I think beautifying the school, posters, art projects, anything that we can put on walls, on doors, will have a great effect on making us respect the building and respect where we are. I want to have activities and events where we can maybe take a space and make it into something else with themes and make it into a sort of environment that we can all feel comfortable in. I think that the graffiti has been terrible, and honestly, it's hindering our ability to be free as students. People always cry for open campus, but the issue with that is we're not trusted enough. So I want to make sure that we're trusted. I want to really stress that every student is important, no matter who they are or where they come from, whatever they identify with or as. It's very important to me that they feel welcome at our school.
Laura?
Yeah, so after the graffiti incident this past year, I met with a group of students who were members of student council and some administrators. And we talked for a couple hours, and we essentially came to the conclusion that a lot of the graffiti is a result of a lot of the political tensions that are going on in the country right now. And so I think we have to get to the root of the problem, which is like tensions between the students. And so I know this past year we had our first ever unity rally, which is something I would like to continue, and other events such as that where we really open communication between students and try to encourage thoughtful communication and support, because for everything that divides us, there's about 100 more things that bring us together, and I think if we acknowledge that as a school, we'll really help build the community.
Well said points on that topic. Now, high school is a time of great stress, whether it be academic, social, and obviously both of you have been taking on a lot of responsibility as student leaders in the academics as well. How, as student leaders, are you going to continue to be the example of someone that can balance stress and instead use stress in a positive way and help others cope with stress? How do you think that you can be that image, that role model to other students? Laura?
So as Nat mentioned, we had our spring fling recently, which I think is a great event. If you weren't there, essentially what that was a de-stressing period where there was yoga and watercolor and free burritos, which I'm sure was a great selling point. And so I think we should continue events like that. And as for personally, I find that I'm the kind of person who's very motivated by stress. If you ever look in my agenda book, you'll see all my little lists of things I need to do. And I've never really had a problem balancing schoolwork and student council, especially because student council is something I'm very passionate about. So I've been able to juggle my time in order to make sure that I'm devoting all my time that I'm not doing homework to student council to make sure the events and everything are the best they could be.
Nat?
I think I've already done a fairly good job at managing the stress. I take on a lot of responsibility with not only student government, but also music and academics, all these things that take up time. So all of these are things that build up stress and take away time that I could be using to do homework at home. Days where I just don't come home until very late. For example, today, getting to school at 7, despite only having to come in until 9, and then coming home, coming back to the high school, 8:30, here I am, and I'll get home soon, and I'll get to do homework. But it's not something that worries me because I know how to focus on the task at hand. When something comes up, I know how to do it, and do it right away, and do it right. And I hope that other students can see that in me and use it as an example to help them relieve their stress and look for strategies to cope with their stress. Additionally, I like tutoring other students, anybody who needs help. I'd just love to be there for them individually on a personal level.
They're all very valid points, and I hope you will continue to spread that positivity next year. And student council, a huge part of it entails school spirit, in showcasing school spirit, spreading that school spirit. How do you think that you can effectively promote the school spirit around the school, not just for sports or for theater, but everything, and make sure that all aspects of Arlington High School is enveloped in the school spirit that we display? Nat?
On the note of school spirit, as you can see, have the Arlington A on me right now, always representing the school. I think outside of sports, although sports are great to show that you support the athletics department or showing up to concerts, showing you support the music department, cheering loudly, that's not the only thing that's important to show school spirit. Part of it is showing up every day with a positive attitude, showing up every day, conversing with other students and making them feel welcome, respecting your peers and respecting the school. That builds school spirit by itself. I want to, like I said, these beautifications projects, making the school a great place to live in, I think will definitely promote great school spirit and make us want to be Arlington High School and show other towns that we are Arlington High School and that we think we are the best school.
Laura?
I definitely agree with everything Nat's saying. Also that this past year and the year before, I attended the Massachusetts Association of Student Council's annual meeting. And so a lot of what I got out of that is that, like I said earlier, events aren't just about raising money for the school, because if student council is sitting on a lot of money and we're not doing events for the students, then what's even the point? And so we had different ideas of making events that maybe weren't expensive, or if you came dressed in school colors, you could get in free to a dance. Not only that, but this year we had our first ever Spring Spirit Week. In the past, we've always had one in the fall that is very focused on sports. And, you know, I've often sat in the audience not being involved in sports myself, and I've thought, you know, why don't the band kids get any credit, or the art students, or speech and debate, and all those different teams. And so this year, you know, we had Spring Spirit Week, which wasn't focused on any specific institution in the school, simply just spirit among all the students. So as part of that, we had like a jukebox in the cafeteria. And one thing I'd like to add to that going forward is when I was little, one of my favorite shows was Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, and they had this thing called a spirit stick, where they would try to pass it around all day, and you couldn't let it drop. And so I would like to do something like that, where each class maybe has some item and it has to be held by somebody at some point during the whole day, and it could go towards Ponder Cup, which is an organization we have at the school, which is almost like the Harry Potter house cups. And so I think small events such as that can have a really positive impact on the school.
That's definitely true. You, again, both touched on this before, but obviously student council is a huge responsibility. It's a time commitment, and you all are probably involved in a lot of different other things. How will you make sure that you can prioritize student council and the things in student council and balance everything to make sure that you can give this position and the responsibilities your 100%? Laura?
Yeah, so definitely this past year I've had to work around that because I'm also involved with Best Buddies and Literary Magazine and the Drama Club and various other clubs around school. And so I've always believed in like a strong line of communication between members of student council, because if we're not talking to each other to plan meetings and like various like consultations, how can we move forward? And so I've been very active on Facebook Messenger. I'm very willing to come in before school. You'll often see me running through the hallways somewhere at like 7:25 for a meeting at 7:30, or I'm here after school, often very late at various meetings. And one thing I would like to add is also a calendar for student council. It was an idea we've discussed throughout the year, but we've never actually fully gotten the ball rolling. But an online calendar would help not only me make meetings, but help everybody on student council make meetings, because it really is a team effort. Mm-hmm. And I also believe that as part of a team, especially working with a small group like this, it's very important that I am there for things. So.
Mm-hmm. Nat, how would you balance this time?
As for me, I know I already have several other commitments that I balance time for, and normally the regular student council meetings are normally Wednesday nights. Those are not a problem to get to, although other committees have meetings sometimes after school, before school, or whenever. But I think if I were to be student council's president, I'd make that my number one priority, and everybody should know that. I'm used to coming to school early, as with band and jazz band. I'm normally at the school at 7 o'clock. For a 7:30 meeting, that's half the time I can spend there and half the time I can spend at this meeting. As a student council president, it really is my number one priority, working after school on the weekends. Communicating with other student council members is very important to me, because I may not always be able to control or micromanage everything, which I love to do, but not something that's realistic for me to do with an organization like this. So I think communicating with other team members and helping just solidify a plan that we have and make sure everybody has a proper delegated part would really help keep the entire system flowing.
Mm-hmm. Both very good plans. And as a student council president, you are not just going to be the voice of the people, but you're going to have to balance that with the administration and with the leadership and the restrictions that come with becoming a leader and the things that you can actually do. How will you make sure that you can balance this, being the voice of the people and also working with the administration and making things happen efficiently and effectively? Nat?
I think I mentioned earlier my plan to have be a voice for the students by having them communicate directly to me. I mean, honestly, for every single student that they can come to me personally or email me or anything, I will set up means that you can contact me, and I will present any idea you have to the administration and to the student council. It's important to communicate with the administration and be respectful, and that way they will be more willing to commit to the ideas that we have. I think that it's very good to, in addition to being respectful, to be committed and planned, and the administration is not necessarily the beast that we think it all is. I know it was very scary. I was also a freshman running around the halls, seeing Mr. McCarthy turning away, Dr. Jangers the other way, but they're really calm people, and they're willing to communicate with student government and willing to help us make the things we want to have happen. And I can, as student council president, present the ideas that I have and that the entire student body has, and make sure that our views get pushed through.
Laura?
So over the past 2 years, I've led a couple of committees with student council and, of course, organized events with class council. And so a part of that has been confirming things with administration. And so I'm constantly emailing them. I've sometimes joked that Mr. McCarthy must sometimes get sick of seeing my face, because I'll come up to him and I'll say, "Oh, Mr. McCarthy, did you get my email about this and that?" Because, of course, they're very busy. They've got so many jobs to do in the school, and there's such an important role in the school. And that I know how to make my voice heard and be respectful. As for being a voice of the student, I cross paths with many different groups in the school, and I've always talked to Best Buddies and all the different clubs, and really asked what they want to get out of the high school too. Another idea that I hope to implement is club liaisons, where each club can have somebody to talk to as a part of student council, maybe becomes like an ad hoc position, where it can be one person that has a direct line of communication with all of the clubs, so that way anybody who really has views can get them pushed forward. Because I know a lot of clubs have asked us about putting on events, and sometimes it just gets jumbled and lost. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, as kind of a wrap-up question, why do you think that you are the best candidate for student council president? What are the qualities that you're going to be bringing in to the school? And again, just establishing your vision for next year and emphasizing again why you are best equipped to do this job. Laura, let's start with you.
So I feel that I not only have the ideas, but the skills and experience that are important in making them happen, because it would be easy for me to promise 1,000 different things that I want to get done, but I know how the system works, I know how to get things done, and I think I also have a great line of communication and great ideas and great people who can help me come up with great ideas. Not only that, but I find myself to be an approachable person. I don't want anyone to fear me in the hallways. You can always come up to me. Even if you don't know me, you're welcome to ask, like, hey, Laura, what if we did something like this? And I'll always listen, and I'll always bring it up at the next meeting. And so I want to be not only just like the president, but really a member of Arlington High School.
Thank you, Laura. Nat?
I think that I'm a good candidate because, as some of you may forget, I also have experience in the student government system. I'm class secretary, and I've helped with events like the blood drive, so I know what I'm doing when it comes to organizing and being a part of this team that we have. Additionally, I can be truly the voice of the people. I am everywhere. I live at the school sometimes, sometimes sleep over, but I participate in all these sports like cross country and volleyball and music, band, chorus, orchestra, even jazz band and musical. So I'm at the school and I'm talking to people all the time, and I'm seeing all the different personalities and all the different groups, all the different values and all the different faces that I would see. So I feel like I have a good grasp on what is important to push through for the student body. And I think that I've already I like to portray myself as approachable and easy to talk to, as nice, friendly. I'm well known usually in most of the groups that I participate in, and I think I can carry that through for the entire student body. Like Laura said, feel free to talk to me in the halls. I'm not afraid to talk to you, so you shouldn't be afraid to talk to me either. I'd love to hear what you have to say, love to know your name, and really get to know everybody at the school.
Thank you both so much for coming in and speaking to all of us. The elections are going to be happening on May 23rd, and I want all of you to know that as someone who's been on student council, student government for the past 3 years, your vote, your feedback, your interest in all of this really, really matters to us. You have two great candidates here today who've shared with you their visions and their ideas for the next year, all of which sound very positive and very hopefully efficient and effective over the next year. And so when you consider who to choose, please take this seriously and take a moment to really think about what views and what visions align with the things that you would want as well. And please, please, please don't forget to vote on May 23rd. The voting lines will be open for a couple of days, and you will all be informed about how things are going after that. So thank you very much for tuning into this today. And thank you again for Laura Kirchner, who is the current Vice President of the Class of 2018, and Nat Heitmann, who is the current Secretary of the Class of 2018. Thank you guys for being here, candidates for Student Council President. Have a great day. Bye-bye.